Hi, my name is Jimmy Griffin. I'm a baker from Ireland. I'm also the author of this book, The Art of Lamination, and I'm going to show you today how to make one of the products that you can find in the book, my signature product, the Raspberry Pear Marinade. I want to show you a hack I use for making pastries that have custard or crème pâtisserie put on the surface before you bake. So these would be typical viennoiserie with custard, apple, fruits, all different sizes and shapes. And what I discovered, I suppose, over the years was that crème pâte is one of the products that ends up getting wasted quite a lot in a bakery. So I came up with this concept some years ago, and it's a really good idea. It allows you to batch produce and there's no wastage. So what I do is I have an eclair pipe here. You can see it's just an eclair tube. And I have crème pâtisserie made up. And what I'm doing is I'm going to pipe small little eclair size. I'll give you the measurements now. So it's roughly, let's see, it's about 80 centimeters long. Okay, the custard's a little bit thick, but it's fine. I'm just going to pipe those. And what I'm going to do is, when these are piped, I'm going to put them all into the freezer. And when they're frozen solid, that's the time that I'm going to apply them to the pastry. And I'm going to show you that in the next video that I make. So you can make them in a range of sizes. You can make them like these, like mini eclairs. Or you can do them in little dots, like pâte à choux. Just move it here so you can see. And the wonderful thing about the frozen custard is when you put it onto a pastry and press it flat, it doesn't slide all over the place. The fruit doesn't slide off. It anchors the fruit or the toppings you put on it. So there you have it. It's just a quick hack. I've piped out these little pieces using crème pâte. I'm going to freeze them, and I'll show you in one of the future videos how I apply this and use it. It's a very good idea. There's zero waste, and you always have your custard frozen in the freezer to apply to your pastries. So I have my croissant pastry here. I have folded it 3-4-4, and I've pinned it out to just a little bit below, between 6 and 7 millimeters thick. And then I'm going to get my cutter. So I have here a pear-shaped cutter. It's customized, but if you get just an ordinary pear-shaped cutter is fine. This one, I'll give you the measurements now. So it's 200 long and it is 90 wide. So I'm going to just dip it into flour just to help the blade cut. And I'm just going to make an impression and push down. I'm going to do the same here again. So I'm just going to keep a little bit of flour on it. I'm going to press. And the same here. So I'm cutting it herringbone fashion so that the amount of waste pastry is quite low, and I can use these scraps up then in things like pain raisin. When I roll it over, I just fold the trimmings into the pastry. I get one more. Lovely. So I'm just going to slip these guys out now. You can see the nice shape that they hold. And I'll just put the waste pastry to one side. We can use that up, as I said, in a lot of ways, mainly with pain raisin. So what I do with these then is I'm going to put them on a tray, and I'm going to turn just the tip a little bit to one side, and I'll show you how I do that. So here I have my tray. I'm going to cut the paper a little bit wider than the actual pear itself, the pear teardrop shape. So I'm literally going to lay them out like this. I'm going to put my thumb underneath, you see there, like that, and twist. So I'm going to put them up like that. So this will open out and proof, and gives a really nice appearance and aspect. So see again, I put my thumb underneath and I'm just twisting. I'm going to put it down there like that. Same here. And here. So these pastries, I proof them like this, literally just as they are. I don't put any egg wash on them yet, and I don't put any custard or any raspberry cream or anything. Just as they are. And that fold is very important, you can see it there. So do another one here. Okay, we're just positioning them on the tray. Wonderful. So you can just see how nice they sit on the tray like that. When they proof, they'll proof quite quickly because they're just a single layer pastry, and I'll be putting them into the prover at 27°C centigrade, and they'll take about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes. They do not take as long as a croissant because it's actually just one piece of pastry. The core thickness is not so thick as you can see. See there, it's 7 mil. So the prover is able to get in there and heat that up very quickly. So about an hour to an hour and a half, and we'll see how we get on with these. So I've proofed my raspberry pear pastries, and these are the pears that I soaked overnight. So what you do is you need to use a strainer, and you need to wash the excess juice off them so that they're not sticky, that there's no syrup on them. And I just pat them dry using like a tea towel or some cleaning tissue, and that eliminates the sugars burning out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my custard, my creme pâtissier rounds, and I'm just going to anchor them down. So you can see I'm just very gently pushing them into the pastry, and then I'm going to put the raspberry pear marinade over the custard. So I have a second tray here. Just push that in. And here's the final ones. So the final assembly is quite easy. Over the piece of creme pâtissier, and I'm just going to exert a tiny bit of pressure to push down. And you can see how nicely it sits into the pastry. It just anchors it and it keeps it there. These are the final ones. So again, just a tiny bit of pressure. You don't want to fell the nice layers that you've created too much. And there we go. So now we're going to finish the raspberry pear marinades. I have here boiled apricot jam. So I'm just going to brush the pastry and fill in the space there where the actual fruit is itself. It helps to preserve the fruit, stops it going dry from the air. So that's the very first thing I do. I'm just going to brush all of these and fill them in. The apricot jam, it imparts a really nice gentle sweetness to the pastry, and it makes it nice to eat. So I'll continue, just do another 4 here, so you can see I'm making sure to get into the fruit. Just make sure you get in there and get that covered. And then we'll go on to the other finishing elements, or the aspects that I use when I'm finishing the pastry. So I have my raspberry pear marinade, and they have been coated with apricot jam. So I'm going to show you a masking technique that I use for dusting. So what I'm going to do is, just with icing sugar, you can see I have them staggered so that they're not touching each other. I'm just going to blank off the one section of it. I'm going to sieve icing sugar onto the pastry. I'm going to do the same here. Do the same here. And do the same here. So you can see visually it gives a really nice aspect to it. And then just to finish, I'm going to use some raspberry puree. I'm just going to dust that on the ends. So it's powdered raspberry puree. Freeze dried, actually. You can buy it from companies like Sosa. You can buy it online. But it gives a very nice look and flavour to the pastry. And then finally, I'm just going to take some fresh raspberries. I'm going to place one of them just at the tip there so you can see it. Nice fresh raspberry there on the top. One more here. And as a final little gesture, I have these lovely little candy hearts, so you can use chocolate. I'm just going to sprinkle a few of them onto the pear so you can see them, and they just add a really nice decorative element, so you can see it there, all the nice layers, and the purple pear infused with vanilla underneath. It's absolutely gorgeous to eat. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Talk soon. Bye now.